The president has just fired the director of presidential personnel at the White House, the person in charge of hiring people into the Trump administration. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I said he fired him. He actually named him to be an ambassador. Because in this second presidential term, Trump doesn't fire anyone anymore. When he wants to fire someone, he instead just makes them an ambassador. And it's always because of some kind of mess. Trump's national security advisor, you'll remember, he bizarrely added the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic magazine onto an insane group text about classified forthcoming military operations. Michael Waltz, Trump national security advisor, did not get fired for that. He instead was named ambassador to the United Nations. Trump apparently wanted to get rid of the U.S. attorney in New Jersey so he could give a big New Jersey job to his former personal defense lawyer, whose other legal experience was mostly just working for a parking garage company. Well, okay, in that case, you're going to need to get rid of the existing U.S. attorney in New Jersey. So voila, that existing U.S. attorney in New Jersey will now be the ambassador to Namibia. Sure, why not? The president's son, Donald Trump Jr., appears to be no longer dating the Fox News personality Kimberly Guilfoyle. Well, congratulations, Kimberly Guilfoyle. That means it's time for you to be named ambassador to Greece. The president's inexplicable IRS commissioner choice, Billy Long, a professional cattle auctioneer by trade, he astonishingly got confirmed by the United States Senate to lead the IRS, whereupon he arrived at the IRS and there was a sudden widespread revelation, oh my God, this man cannot lead the IRS. So now, voila, Billy Long is named the new ambassador to Iceland. This is what happens. You don't get fired. You become the ambassador to some country that doesn't deserve it. And now we have this latest one, Sergio Gore, the head of presidential personnel at the White House. He is credited by the administration with vetting and hiring something like 4,000 people into this administration. And boy, have they vetted and picked some winners. We don't know why Sergio Gore has suddenly been pushed out as the White House personnel director. They've announced that he's going to be ambassador to India now for some reason, but this follows a bizarre series of reports in the right-wing pro-Trump tabloid, The New York Post. Reports in which the Post claimed that Sergio Gore's real name was Sergio Gorokovsky, that he claimed to have been born in Malta, but that he had not actually been born in Malta. He had been born in Soviet Uzbekistan. And, again, the New York Post claiming that while Mr. Gore himself was supposedly responsible for background checks and security checks on all hires into the Trump administration, the Post reported that he himself for months had refused to fill out the paperwork to allow a background check on himself, which meant that he had only been able to get, reportedly, a temporary security clearance, and then that reportedly had expired. After the New York Post published its report on Mr. Gore in June, they said he finally did submit his SF-86 form to start his background check months late. And then, according to the Post, quote, several sources said that the FBI recently completed a background check into Mr. Gore. The findings of that review stoked internal intrigue over the past week as those findings were, quote, reviewed by West Wing bosses. And now he's been fired. I'm sorry, I mean named ambassador. Again, this is New York Post reporting, and NBC News has not matched it. I'm just telling you what the New York Post has reported and not what I can confirm. But if there's ever a watch what they do and not what they say kind of moment, maybe it's the day that Donald Trump called a press conference in the Oval Office during which he mused out loud about whether his political opponents were fat, and then opined on what he called the inherent violence of something he called the, quote, Chinese carp. Okay, that's what he said. But meanwhile, in terms of what he's doing, well, they did just remove the guy who oversaw the hiring of everyone in the Trump administration in this second term. And even one of the most pro-Trump newspapers in the country reports alongside that inexplicable move that this gentleman has reportedly been lying about his background in the Soviet Union, and also something about his background check this past week turned out to be a real problem, and so he had to be given a soft landing.